Welcome to another edition of Class by Alisonia Start Guide. Today, we want to talk about data and data collection, like we said in the previous class. So, data collection is one of the essential keywords in the definition of statistics that we have to know about. So, while talking about data and data collection, we start by first talking about data, then the method of collecting data. So what is data or what are data? So data are just measurements or observations that are collected as a source of information. That is, if you need data for a particular inference in a particular organization or for government and so on and so forth, so we have to collect that kind of data to use the source of what information for that organization or for the government. So examples abound in our everyday life. Every day we collect data. The example is the number of people in a country, like population census, people ethnic group. We want to know about people ethnic group, number of rats in laboratory experiments for the medical students. So most of them they have to for the medical students, most of them they use white rats in the laboratory to test their study. The sales value of a particular product, the number of reported COVID-19 cases, diseases, weight, height of people in the city, and so on and so forth. So this is what we refer to as data, and these are the examples of data that we should all know about. So when we talk about data, there are some key terminologies that we should be aware of, and those are what we listed here. So we have data units, data items or variable, observation, then data set itself. So when you talk of data units, it's just a single entity or record. It's just a single entity or record of a target population on which the data are collected. For instance, now, you might want to collect data about a person. Let's say I want to collect data about Alisonia. So that's in that sense, I'm a data unit because I'm a person in that sense. What do you want to know about Alisonia? Maybe you want to know his age, you want to know his country, you want to know his discipline, and so on and so forth. So that is a data unit, and that is a record. So you want to collect my record. Or maybe you want to collect data on a particular country, their population census, their GDP, their FDI, foreign direct investment, so on and so forth. Or maybe you want to know a data, or you want to collect data about another record, which is a company, maybe their number of employees, their number of HR, the employee attrition, the customer attrition, the number of sales value, and so on and so forth. So that is what we refer to as data unit. So after that, we move to data items. Data item is what we refer to as variable. It is commonly known as variable, and that is what we've been studying almost every day. It's just a measured or counted. Note the word measured or counted attribute. Attributes or characteristics of a data unit, which is recorded. Example are just height, age, sex, income. It is called a variable because attributes of one entity may be different from another entity. Yes, and that's true. I am Alisonia. Another person is maybe a George. So if my height will vary from the height of another person, which is George. My age will also vary from George. My sex will vary from George, and even the income we earn may be vary. In that sense, we refer to it as what? A variable. A variable. Now, like I said the other time, it is a measured or counted attribute of a data unit. And which data unit am I referring to here? Record. Do you understand? And that is a variable. So we collect my age now. It means my own age is what? Is a measured or counted value of what? Of record, which is a person of a particular person or country or company, so on and so forth. So when you now talk about observation or datum, that is just a singular of data. It's an occurrence of a numeric or non-numeric specific variable. We talked about this yesterday. Numeric or non-numeric specific variable, that is specific data item. In this sense, you can say that example are just female for variable gender. Female is non-numeric observation for variable gender. And 23 years is a numeric observation for variable age. It means you might collect numeric observation for a record of a person, in this sense, gender, which is female. You might also collect non-numeric observation. Then you might also collect the numeric observation for a record of a person, in this sense, which is what? Age. So when I talk of data set is just a collection of the entire observations. It's just a collection of the entire observation. So you know this better here now. So this is just data set. All these tables now, they are data sets. Data of a person, age, sex, height, all these tables, they are referred to as well data set. And here we refer to this as data unit or record, data unit or record. So this is just a data unit. This is another data unit, another data unit, another data unit, another data unit. So what we collect on that data unit, on those data units are what's referred to as data item or variable. In this case, a person is a variable here, which is this column. Age is also a variable. Sex is a variable. Height is also what? A variable. So being referred to as data items or variables in this sense. And I said the other time that it may be numeric observation or non-numeric observation. We have a non-numeric observation here, which is made. Yes, made is non-numeric, it's text, textual, it is a qualitative data in this sense. So for numeric observation, we have this to be numeric observation. So the entirety of everything is what's referred to as what? A data set. So here we also have a numeric observation, the age here, numeric observation. So this one is height in centimeter, so a numeric observation. So type of data. So before we move on to this type of data, so is there anything you want to ask, or am I too fast? So let me just show me, maybe you are following me or not. Anyone?
We are following.
So for type of data, so we have to type. It's just like I iterating what we did yesterday. So to stick, we have quantitative, which is numerical data, and we also have qualitative, which is categorical data. So quantitative can further be divided into two, the discrete and the continuous. When you talk about discrete, this is just typically count data or numeric value. There is no decimal point. It is an integer. It is an integer. There is no decimal point. The example is number of people with diabetes. It is count. You can't say number of people with diabetes is 2.3, but you can say number of people with diabetes is 2. There are 4, there are 15, there are 5. Number of rats in laboratory for experiment. That one is also count data. Number of COVID-19 occurrence, number of people with malaria, so on and so forth. They are count data, they are numeric, and they are discrete. For the continuous, they are data that take values within range or interval. You might not know the exact, but it can only be measured. It can only be measured. So for this one, we have height in centimeter, weight in kilogram, even your age. Let me just say our age is continuous. It's an example of continuous data. It's not counted data because we do not really know our exact age. How? So maybe you can say maybe you are 20 years old, for instance. If you are 20 years old, have you considered months? Are you 20 years old 2 months, or 20 years old 3 months, or 4 months, and so on and so forth? So if you consider months, have you considered weeks? Are you 20 years old, 2 months, 3 weeks? Okay, let's say you know the weeks. What about number of days? Okay, let's say you know that one too. What about hours? What about minutes, seconds, microseconds, milliseconds, and so on and so forth? So that is why age will be categorized as a continuous data and not discrete. But since they are all numbers, and both continuous and discrete, they are numeric. So we regard to them as quantitative data. We regard to them as quantitative data. So for the qualitative data, we have textual data, that is data with text. For this one, it can also be divided into nominal and ordinal data. For the nominal one, it doesn't give regards to what? To ordering or rank or position. Example is gender, marital status, race, ethnic groups, hair color, and so on and so forth. So on and so forth. Because when someone says okay, gender is either male or female, it doesn't mean male come first before female, and so on and so forth. And when we talk about ordinal data, so this gives regard to ordering. It gives regard to ordering. It gives regard to rank, and it gives regard to what? To position. Example is just a level of education. Yeah, is rank in that. So primary school, secondary school, there's rank. So associate degree level, BSc, MSc, PhD, so on and so forth. There is rank. So income level, there is also rank in that as well. There is also rank in that. Income level, satisfaction rating, satisfied, you are satisfied, maybe dissatisfied, neutral, and so on and so forth. And also most like cat case question. What do I mean by like cat case question? They are strongly agree, disagree question. They are strongly agree, disagree question. Those are also example of what? Ordinal data, ordinal data. And there's nothing we have, okay, maybe when we get to level of measurement, we talk about that. So these are just the type of data that we have, the quantitative and the qualitative, which is categorical. Gender is categorical, male and female. It's just two level category. Marital status is category, it may be two level category, maybe three level category, two level category, married, not married, married, not married, widow, divorce, married, not married, married, widow, divorce, and so on and so forth. So those are three level categorical variable, three level categorical variable. So let's continue. So sources of data, I should not talk about this here, but let's just brief it. There are two main sources of data, and these are primary and secondary sources. So primary source is data collected by the investigator himself. That is when you go to feed to collect your own data yourself without having without documenting it from what? From another source. That is what is referred to as primary source of data collection. So mostly it is done using surveys or questionnaires or experiments. So a medical student performing an experiment in a laboratory is collecting his or her own data himself or herself for his what? For his research. So survey, questionnaire, and so on and so forth. So secondly, so is already documented data that are collected by the investigator or by the researcher. So that is maybe if you need a population census, GDP of a country, energy consumption, electricity consumption. So those are documented in World Bank indicator, WDI, World Development Indicator, World Bank Indicator, WDI, and so on and so forth. Or maybe you need the data about a stock investment, Tesla, Yahoo, you go to Yahoo Finance to get that. Or maybe you need data about disease, malaria. So you might not be able to collect that yourself, but you go to what? Center for Disease Control and what? Commission to have your own data collected. So it's not your data. You go to another source to have the data documented, to have data transcribed from their own source. So they have their own advantage and disadvantage, but we may talk about that later. So another example of secondary source is literature reviews. This literature review. You can also collect data through literature review as well. So here we talk of level of measurements and data types. So we need to be very, very attentive here. So if you are well conversant in SPSS, if you are coding your data in SPSS, if they ask for level of measurement at the last column, so it used to bring three: nominal, ordinal, and scale. Normally, there are four levels of measurement: the nominal level of measurement, the ordinal level of measurement, the interval, and the ratio. And this interval and the ratio, they are they fall under scale. So ordinal, nominal, interval, and ratio. So nominal data is categorical data without specific rank. We said that the other time. Year color, zip code, ID number, so on and so forth. Ordinal data, they are also categorical data, but they have rank. Satisfaction rating, income level. We'll talk about that as well. Then for the interval and ratio, so this is just difference between measurements, but no true zero exists. Difference between measurements, but no true zero exists. Example is temperature and pH level. For the ratio, it is different between measurements, but true zero exists. Example is temperature in Kelvin. Note this. This one is temperature in degrees Celsius. This one is temperature in Kelvin. So they have weight, we have concentration, we have dose amount, we have pulse, then we have survival time, and so on and so on. What do I mean by no true zero exists and true zero exists? And what do I mean by difference between measurements? Let me start from nominal and ordinal again. In nominal and ordinal level of measurement, there is no regard to measurements or there's no regard to differences between measurements. That is, if you say, okay, let's take nominal data, for example, male and female. You can't say what is the difference between male and female in terms of subtraction, addition, multiplication, and so on and so forth. It's not possible. You can't say you want to minus male from female. And even in the ordinal, income level, let's say income level for one is a response with income level. Let's say category, we have 0 to $500, then $501 to $1,000. So you can't say you want to know difference between 0 to $500 and $501 to $1,000. It's not possible as well. You can only assign number to quote them. We are not doing analysis here. But let me just make mention of that. You can only assign number to quote them. Now for the interval level, so there is difference between measurement. For instance, now, if I say that, okay, the difference between temperature of 10 degrees Celsius and 20 degrees Celsius, the difference between temperature of 10 degrees Celsius and 20 degrees Celsius is the same thing as the difference between temperature of 50 degrees Celsius and 60 degrees Celsius. What are those differences? Just 10 degrees Celsius. So that is what they mean by that. In that sense, you can, okay, I'll come to that later, and so on and so forth. Now, what do I mean by no true zero exists? In interval level of measurement, there is no zero value. The zero there is just arbitrary. So I will take that temperature as an example, in degrees Celsius as an example again. So you can have temperature below 0 degrees Celsius. You can have temperature of 4 degrees Celsius. That is temperature of minus 4 degrees Celsius, minus 10 degrees Celsius. That is when we have extreme cold, and so on and so forth. So there's no true zero value in there. So that's why it's referred to as interval. Any data that has no true value, no true zero value, is what we refer to as what? Interval. Interval level of what? Measurement, or interval data type. Another one is a PHK. PHK range from 1 to 7. There's no true zero value in that one as well. It ranges from what? 1 to 7. From alkalinity to what? To acidity. So there's no true zero value in that one as well. And for the ratio, there are true zero value. Ratio is just interval level of measurement, but with true zero value that exists. Example is Kelvin. You can have 0 Kelvin, but you can't have minus 10 Kelvin, minus 273 Kelvin. It's not possible. So because when you have 0 Kelvin, it means there's no heat. It means there is no heat. So you can have 0 Kelvin. Another one is weight. Another one is what? Concentration. Another one is what? Dose amount. Another one is what? Pulse and survival time. If you check the pulse rate of the patient, it might be 0. If it is 0, that means that patient is what? It's gone already. So there is 20 value for that one. Say. So if I give out a test now, I want to mark the test, and they can have some people that might go 0 in those tests. So that's also what? True 0 value. So that is just the difference between interval level of measurement and visual level of what? Of measurement. So here we want to test our knowledge based on what I've explained in the previous slides. So before we move on, can we proceed? Any questions? Okay, can we proceed?
Hello?
Okay.
Yes. When you were explaining the interval,
Yes.
as level of measurement, you mentioned something like doesn't have true 0, and I think the example you gave, especially that pH. So pH is actually a value from 0 to 14, and a pH can give us a value of 0, and as a minimum value, and a maximum of 14.
Okay.
So what about that?
That 0. Are you a science student?
Yes, I am.
Of course. You are not only talking about that. So that 0 of a pH value is arbitrary. Is it not?
Okay. What about in temperature? It is not.
In temperature.
Even at
Wait.
even
In
in
temperature, is it temperature in degrees Celsius or temperature in Kelvin?
I think why you ascribe it to be an interval is because it can have a value between minus and as high as whatever number it is, how hot the temperatures in degrees Celsius now. In degrees Celsius now. So I don't know, maybe that is the reason why. I don't know the reason why you said it is an interval, because according to your definition, it doesn't have a true 0 value, no true 0 value. I don't know whether my question is explanatory enough.
Yes, I got your question. So when I say no true 0 value, it doesn't mean that there are no zeros values, but those values are just arbitrary. That's what I mean by that. They are just arbitrary. For the ratio now, the 0 value we have there, they are real. That's just the difference between the two. A student can ask 0 in an exam. That is real. So when you say 0 degrees Celsius, doesn't mean there is no temperature at all. Eh? Hello?
Yeah, what it means? Hello? Can you hear me now?
When you say 0 degrees Celsius, does it mean there is no temperature at all? Or does it mean there is no heat at all? That is 273 Kelvin.
Yes, there is temperature, and then there's even a manifestation of that, because water can exist at that temperature, and you actually see a manifestation of that this is 0 degrees. So does that not mean that it's a true value?
It's not a true value. If it is true 0 value, then it should mean that there is no temperature at all.
Okay,
we are talking about a level of we are taking out to maybe a chemistry. We are talking about deep into a science. design a class. So if that 0 is true, it should mean that there's no
Temperature.
temperature at all. But here it means there is temperature. There is 0, but that 0, it has no what? It has no true value. But when the student got 0 in the exam, that 0 is real. When there's no pulse rate, maybe you are measuring the pulse rate of a patient and it is 0, you know what that means.
Okay.
And even survival time of that's it. And for pH, we are running out of time. And for pH scale as well, yes, there is 0, but it doesn't mean that 0 on a pH scale doesn't mean that there's no alkalinity or there's no acidity. Even though there is 0, but it doesn't mean this 0, no alkalinity and no acidity. It just means that.
Actually.
So let's move on. Yeah, you want to test our measurement here. So let me check the other screen. Can you see the other screen, please? Can you see it?
Yes. Yes.
So let's be quick about this. So what level of measurements is this H here? Anyone? What level of measurement is H? In years. Okay, let me give us options.
H in years is discrete.
What do you say?
H in years should be discrete. Discrete measurement.
What about number of disease? Why don't you say continuous?
It's because it is
Age
years.
is continuous.
And why
No,
did
but
you say
in
why did
years,
you say continuous?
Because it's not exact, because you can have 1.5 years. It's not whole numbers. You can have a decimal in between, like 1.6 years. That means 1.5 years.
That means if that is the case, I wouldn't put in years.
Okay.
If that is
So
I will
the
just
years.
if that is the case, I will just
Okay.
put
If it's
H. If that is the case, I will just put H. I won't put in years, in months.
okay. Okay. If it's in years, then it is discrete.
Yeah, we can say it's discrete. So
Yeah.
let's pick that discrete. So okay, I want you to choose between nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio.
It is ordinal.
Age in years. Age in years cannot be ordinal.
I think ordinal means that it is ranking.
Ordinal is categorical data. Ordinal is textual, is qualitative.
Oh, sorry.
is it interval? It should be interval.
It's not interval. It's ratio.
Oh no. Does that mean we can have true 0 for each?
What do you say?
Does that mean we can have true 0 for each?
Can anybody be that have 0 years old?
0 years old. Yes, I think. If you are going to measure it in years.
In years. So let's continue. What number of diseases? Number of diseases.
That should be ordinal. It is categorical.
It is
No, is it nominal?
Wait. Let's calm down. Ordinal and nominal, they are textual data. They are qualitative. When you see number of something, that should be what? Quantitative. And if it is quantitative, you can either choose between ratio or interval because they are numeric. So when you say number of disease now, is it ratio or interval level of measurement? Is it ratio or interval level of measurement?
I think it's this ratio.
Interval. It is interval.
Interval rather, yes, it is interval.
Why?
Yeah, because of the because it has to
Cannot take
do.
decimal.
Anyone else?
It cannot take decimal.
Yes, cannot take decimal. Yes. So does that mean
But
why
if
it's
cannot,
interval ratio?
no,
Can we have zero disease?
I think it's ratio. No true zero exists with number of disease. Should be ratio.
If no true zero exists, that means it should be interval. If true zero exists, that means what? It should be ratio.
Ratio. Okay, I think it is ratio. So you can record 0 for a particular disease so that no one has it. So it is ratio.
Thank you.
It is
Type of
ratio.
movie. Type of movies.
Type of movies.
That is
Yes.
qualitative.
Yeah, that's qualitative.
Yes,
So you choose
qualitative.
between nominal or ordinal in that sense.
So it's ordinal.
Yes.
Nominal.
It is nominal.
Thank you. This one is,
Ordinal is one that needs ranking, right? Ordinal has ranking concepts.
so this one is nominal. Thank you. Because when you say type of movie, the type of movie, you all know what we all watch on Netflix. So there's no regard to what to order. There's no regard to what to position and so on and so forth. So hair color as well, it can be yellow, it can be green, it can be blue, and so on and so forth. It can be indigo, violet. So this one, there's no regard to ranking as well. You have nominal. Amount of rainfall. Amount of rainfall. Is it ratio or interval?
Interval.
Amount of rainfall is interval.
It
Interval.
is ratio.
Is it raining over there? Is it raining over there? Hello?
Hello?
Is it raining over there?
No?
That means we have zero, isn't it?
Yeah, you
So,
can have 0.
yeah, you can have zero. Then that means there's no rain, isn't it?
Yes.
Ratio.
In that sense, we have ratio. Temperature in Celsius, we talked about this before. This is what?
Yeah, that one is interval.
Interval, no
Interval.
zero value exists. 0 degrees Celsius does not mean that there's no temperature. Abi? For this one, evaluation of surface, that
Yes.
is want to measure maybe very poor,
Ordinal.
very good. Thank you. This is ordinal. Because it
No,
can be what?
ordinal.
I'm being fast now because of
This
time.
can be wrong.
Amount of protein in soup.
That one is ratio.
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 Because we can have 0 protein. Abi? Is it in?
Yes.
So it's
Yes,
ratio.
sir.
Amount of calories in biscuits.
Ratio.
0 as well.
Yeah.
I'm a ratio.
Yeah, ratio. Number of white rats in laboratory.
Interval.
Number of white rats in
Interval.
laboratory.
Interval.
This one can be ratio as well.
It is discrete and
Might
it
get
is
to the
what?
laboratory and we'll find no rat.
I found no rat there. So we have 0 there. So it is ratio. Thank you.
Ratio.
Calendar year.
Calendar year. This one is interval.
Do you agree?
It should be interval. I'm not sure there can be 0 calendar year. That's all.
Hey, thank you. This one is interval.
Interval.
Student score on statistics test.
Ratio.
This one is ratio.
Ratio.
Thank you. Because it's there can score 0, isn't it? And
Yes,
that
sir.
0
Yeah.
is might be rate. Then temperature in Fahrenheit.
Temperature.
Not in Kelvin. In Kelvin, that is ratio. Because when you have 0 Kelvin, it means there is no heat. and that is minus. Okay. Then for the temperature in Fahrenheit, what type of data is that? Level of measurement, what type of level of measurement is that? The nominal, ordinal, ratio, or interval? Is it nominal, ordinal, ratio, or interval level?
Nominal.
Nominal? It can be. Nominal or ordinal are qualitative.
Interval.
Nominal and
Interval.
ordinal. How is it interval? I want to make sure maybe you didn't just pick any option. How is it interval? And why not ratio?
It is interval because it has various one level is bigger than the higher it goes, means different things.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. But that's not the major reason why it is interval. That's not the major reason why it is interval. It's because it has no true zero value, just like temperature in degree Celsius. Yeah, when you have 0 degree Celsius, it doesn't mean that there is no temperature at all. So yes, there is zero, but that zero is just arbitrarily, it's just there for some other meaning, not because there's no temperature. And the same thing is applicable here. The same thing is applicable for the Fahrenheit. This thing is applicable for the Fahrenheit. So for this one, the temperature 0 degree Fahrenheit does not mean that there is no heat, and it does not mean that there is no temperature. So, but if it is in Kelvin, if it is in Kelvin, so it means there is no heat. It means there is no heat. If it is Kelvin, it will be what? It will be ratio. So you are right. This one is interval, and it is because it has no true zero value. So that's that about that. So that's the knowledge we want to test. So we can move on to the next slide now. This is where we go. So now that we're acquainted with data, what are then the method of data collection? How do you collect your data? We have different methods that we can use to collect data. We'll talk about this one by next week. So inshallah, we'll talk about this one by next week. So I don't want the slide to be too much so that you get what we are talking about. So that's why I make it short, maximum of 10 slides, or maximum of 8 to 10 slides for each class. The next slide we talk about data collection method. Yeah, so in summary, we talk about data in this class. We said that data are just measurements or observation collected at a source of information. And this data can be divided into two. It is quantitative, if it is numeric, and qualitative if it is categorical. So for the quantitative data, we also said that it can further be divided into discrete and continuous. And for the qualitative data, we can further be divided into what? Nominal and ordinal. Nominal with no regard to ordering, with no regard to position, like gender, male and female, like marital status, married, single, widow, divorce, so on and so forth. Then ordinal with regard to specific rank or ordering. So like satisfaction rating, satisfied with your service, or not satisfied with your service, or neutral, and so on and so forth. Like level of education, primary, secondary, PhD, BSc, MSc, like income level, and so on and so forth. So that's what's talked about. In summary, we have any question or anything you want to say, so you can talk about that in the next 5 to 10 minutes. Any question? Any question? Can we end the class then? So if there's no question, so you can end the class. So we'll meet again by next week, inshallah. Thanks for attending.